Hey, Andy here. This has been a video I've been wanting to make for a little while. The topic about open source being dead. I have an interesting take on it. I don't think it is dead. I think it is broke. Okay, let's be clear. This topic has been covered quite a bit before, right? So if you go Google open source is dead, you'll see tons and tons of links, articles, people talking about it. Jeff Geerling had a really good one about open source. Corporate open source is dead. I think he's on to a very interesting point here. And I wanted to add on to it, especially with my experience trying to sell open source for the last 6, 7, 8 years. It has been extremely difficult. A couple things he highlighted was HashiCorp and IBM. One of the main things that I kind of want to highlight is, in terms of data points, you had MinIO changing its license. You had HashiCorp going to a BSL license. There's MinIO, you've had Hashi with their BSL. Even Docker, company I worked for many years ago, has changed their licensing such that if you're a corporate, if you have more than so many users, now it's time to pay. I think really the big thing that's driving this is, well, specifically greed, but more around private equity and venture capital. No longer are the money backers willing to wait for an idea, wait for a product to mature. They want the faster, quicker, larger return on investment. I know personally, working for rancher government specifically, we have a lot of leeway. We have a lot of time. Luckily, rancher itself, SUSE upstream, is giving us that time and sticking to the open source ethos. But I think we need to really start thinking about how, as a company, but how as an industry, we can start to monetize in a more appropriate, efficient, cleaner manner. And it's clear to the end user, it's clear to the venture capital firms, the private equity firms that are kind of bankrolling some of these endeavors. One of the models I really like is open core. This is something that I'm trying to help champion inside SUSE, inside Rancher Government. But the idea is the core functionality is open source. Everybody can use it. This article here on Wikipedia, and I'm going to link all these into the show notes, talks about limited functionality. I'm going to flip it around. I don't think it's limited. I think if you talk about an open core model, that's the base. Then things like extra GUIs, enterprise support, high availability. One of the things we may be looking at is FIPS 140-3, DISA-STIGs, those kind of things that take additional effort, additional money, and additional support. That's where charging for that premium, charging a subscription fee makes a lot more sense. One of the other models, this is also kind of interesting, is the BSL basically says, okay, when dev is completely free. Red Hat has this model to a certain extent. Dev is free. Production is not. That gets a little gray. I, again, like the idea of open core. I like the idea of you can't even get the product. You need a specific license file. It's a little bit of a barrier to entry, but it still allows for that core functionality, say like the Docker engine. It allows for that core functionality to be adopted and learned and appreciated, so you get the customer in love with the technology, in love with the product, and then you can upsell them. I'll be honest, you can upsell them into more advanced features. This may not be a popular opinion, but if you ever look at Rancher, let's look at Rancher itself, the Rancher product itself, adopting the open core model, sorry, the light's going nuts here with the sun today, but adopting the open core model, I would love to see the Kubernetes layer completely open source. Well, everything is open source right now, but I would love to see this management layer, the Rancher product itself, potentially go kind of open core model. In other words, this becomes closed source. This layer of the stack becomes the paid feature. So it's a real easy way to differentiate. You want our best of breed Kubernetes? Cool. Here it is, RKE2, K3S, go for it. Now you want the management GUI on top? That's a cost. And again, we can kind of apply open core and BSL to the layers themselves. I know, just out of my personal frustration, a lot of my customers, I don't have to convince them to use Rancher. I don't have to convince them to use RKE2. I have to convince them why our expertise, our implementation is better. STIGs are helping. FIPS is helping. Some of the really interesting use cases that we've come up with. You can see some blinky lights behind me potentially. That is my tactical edge kit. I've got some GPU support and some other small things. We've got some other products coming out that are really looking interesting in terms of differentiation. Oh, great. Now my background flipped. Cool. It does that randomly. But having that differentiation makes my job easier in terms of selling that support model. But I think the industry as a whole, right? Look at IBM buying Hashi, look at MinIO, look at the Hashi before that with the BSL licensing. Even Red Hat closed sourcing. Well, that's not really closed sourcing. They put up very tall fences for RHEL. Luckily, Rocky and Alma have figured out ways around that and are continuing to provide that free foundation for operating systems. But I think even that's going to start going away in terms of abstraction. But the industry is very puckered right now, and it's very challenging. I think, like I said, I think if we can all kind of adopt that open core model, and even for Rancher kind of head down that road, I think it'll be very helpful, and also very honest and forward up front. And we just say, look, there's a lot of companies that use open source products that bundle it and make a lot of money off it. They're not contributing back to the open source community. They're not helping. They're not providing a rising tide to lift all boats. And that only lasts for so long. Look at the shift left where the one developer got mad, or I forget what the last that last big hack was, or that last big oh god, I'm brain farting on it. But I forget what that last big issue was, where the developer friended the one developer, and then somebody in the chat, go ahead and throw it in for me, please. Or in the comments. But you can see that like open source is getting stretched incredibly thin, and the money is not there to help it. Is not there to support it. So either we start adopting open core, or companies really start thinking about contributing back to these projects and work together. The greed probably needs to stop, or slow down at least. I hope this is a little insightful. I hope this helps. Like I said, I'll put the links to like Jeff's. Jeff's got a really good article on it. He even had a YouTube video on it. There's a lot of comments here to read through. If you've got any questions, you know where to find me. I'm gonna put the Jeff one in open core. Hopefully this is it's like I said. Hopefully I said this is insightful. Please subscribe, like, share, all that stuff, and feel free to comment. What do you think about open source and the fact that it's broke, not dead? Hopefully have a good one. Thank you. Bye.